Welcome to the decks of Titanic. Today we're going to be exploring the crew areas under the forecastle. We'll see all the machinery that makes the huge anchors work, as well as the areas for crew members to eat and sleep. We'll even get to explore some of the less-known areas of Titanic like her cargo holds, chain lockers, and eventually in another video we'll check out the boiler rooms, so stay tuned for that. Also, if you haven't already subscribed for more Titanic tours. We're now under the forecastle on C deck. To our left is the crew galley. To the right is galley storage, a crew hospital, and stairs down to D deck. This is the crew galley. As we walk into the room, we see coal boxes, massive ovens, and huge ranges. Also, we see items like the electric potato peeler with the huge white boilers next to it. This room would have provided for the countless firemen, stokers, and trimmers that kept this massive ship moving through the water. On our right, we see the ranges that the chefs would have cooked hundreds of meals a day on. To the left is the coal-powered ovens. The black box next to it is the coal box. We then see the dozens and dozens of plates needed to accommodate a crew this size. 163 firemen, 73 coal trimmers, and 33 greasers. They were all a part of the Titanic's engineering crew. We then walk into the seamen's mess on port side. This is where crew members would come to eat after a long shift in the bowels of the ship. This room was explored sometime during the early 2000s by James Cameron. Only the legs of the tables were left as they were bolted to the floor. As you can see, the shear is really extreme at the bow of the ship. The wall is slanting downward quite a bit. Shear is the upward curve of the vessel toward the bow and stern, with the lowest part being in the middle of the ship. Now we can see all the steam-powered machinery that powers the windlasses and the four capstans. They allow the anchor to be raised and lowered. Right here we see the massive gears that power the windlasses on deck, with the many gears that engage and disengage each part of the machine. Here we see two of the capstan gears. Capstans were used for multiplying the pulling force for seamen hauling ropes, cables, or chains, whereas the windlasses were only for raising and lowering the massive anchors. You can also see the steam engine in the middle of the room, which would have powered this massive machinery. This is what a capstan looks like. This massive spool of wire is for if Titanic ever needed to be towed, or if the third anchor was needed. The anchor crane up on deck would have swung the anchor out, and it could then be attached to the wire. This is actually the base of the anchor crane we see here. We're now looking out of what's called the hawse pipe. This is where the third anchor would have been attached and where Titanic would be towed by if the need arose. We're now going to check out a storage room on D deck. Looks like it goes all the way down to F deck. Now we'll head aft towards something interesting. Can anyone guess what this is? We're now 90 feet above the water line, up in the crow's nest where Frederick Fleet and Reginald Lee spotted the iceberg on that cold April night. We're 26 feet above the bridge, which means we can see 2.4 kilometers farther than the bridge crew. Now we can take a look at the capstans and windlasses up on deck. You can see the massive anchor chains wrapped around the windlasses and the brakes up on deck for slowing the anchors down or stopping them. The steel foremast the crow's nest was attached to is 161 feet tall, making it one of the tallest ever fitted on a steamship. Now we'll go explore D-deck. We can see a waste disposal system here. Whatever you put inside would be ejected out the side of the ship. This spiral staircase was used by the firemen coming up out of the hot boiler rooms below. They weren't supposed to be seen by passengers, so they had their own staircase to their accommodations. This room was designed to accommodate 24 trimmers. This shows the cramped quarters of the crew. We can now see into the chain locker of Titanic. Just one of these massive chain links weighed about 175 pounds. And with the length of chain being 1,200 feet, that's an incredible amount of weight. We're now looking down cargo hold number 1. Now we can see where the firemen slept. This is the firemen's bunks. This room could accommodate 53 firemen. Now we'll make our way down to G deck where the spiral stairs will take us to the boiler rooms. Luggage and other cargo in cargo hold number 1. We can now see down to the tank top, the lowest deck on the ship. We can see how hundreds of men would have started and ended their shift using these stairs. This is called the fireman's tunnel. This is how the hundreds of men needed to keep the ship moving would get to their stokeholds. Boiler room number 6 is at the end of the tunnel. Thanks for watching. Next video, we'll take a look at the boiler rooms 5 and 6. Subscribe for more Titanic tours.